Thank you for joining us. This is one of our Alitu deep dive sessions for Alitu users where we answer a bunch of questions that you have submitted, as well as taking you through in real time how to use the software better. Because the objective here is for you to feel more confident after you attend that you can do everything it is that you need to do. And we're hoping a couple of surprises that you didn't know will make your life even easier. We want you to be able to do all of those effortlessly when you get into Alitu. If you're editing your episode for 3 hours, that's not good. How long are you going to podcast if it takes you 3 hours to edit an episode, right? So we're absolutely hoping that we're going to be able to condense that for you. And Alitu is set up to do exactly that. So in case you don't know me from a previous episode, my name is Allegra, and I'm both our community manager for the IndiePod community, and I work in podcaster success. So if you chat in asking a question, it might be me. Joining me today is the inestimable Graham. Say hi, Graham.
Hello, everyone. And yeah, if you message during the UK time, you'll get me in chat. Well, and a little bit of America too.
I was going to say, even when the clocks have changed. Yeah. Yes, we were messing up appointments with each other this week because I forgot that the clocks were changing. So today what we're doing is we're doing a deep dive into editing. So we're going to cover the editor from like the top of its head to the bottom of its feet. And we're going to kick off with Graham sharing his screen and starting to work through the different aspects of the editor. Now, I'll just remind you in case of someone just joined us, if you have a question, go ahead and pop that in there. Okay, I'm just going and starring every question I see. So if you have a question, go ahead and pop that in there. I promise if we have not answered it as we go through, we will grab it at the end. So let me hush. Graham, take it away.
Well, so I'm sure most of you in the chat have already been in here since you've already done so many episodes, but just for anyone watching the replay that's brand new, I'll just go over some of the key functions. So most importantly, play button, so you can hear your audio. You can jump forward 10 seconds or jump back, or you can jump right to the end of the episode. Another handy little thing over here is the playback speed, because if you have an hour-and-a-half episode, you maybe want to speed it up so it doesn't take you so long. So you can choose to go, you can go 1.5 times, 2 times faster, depending on, well, I already talk quite fast, so I probably wouldn't go to 2, but it's super handy. And then, so here at the start, you're going to see the length of your episode. As you make edits and changes, that will also change, but it's really useful to know that if you start out with an hour recording, you'll see here by the end, okay, my episode's 30 minutes now. And then up here, the preferences button, there's a couple of things you can control. So we have 2 different waveforms. At the moment, this is the professional waveform. It just has a bit more detail. You can really see the audio. But if you like, and I do like it, you can just switch over to simple. And it's just a little bit more simple to look at. The other thing we have in the editor preferences, so by default, when you press play,
it's user-friendly interface.
Oh, can you actually hear my audio when it's playing or no?
Yes, I can hear your audio when you click play.
Okay, perfect. So normally the playhead will move across the screen.
It's user-friendly.
But if you go to preferences, switch it, save.
Face is easier to navigate.
Now it will move across the page rather than staying in the center. But it's really up to you if you have a preference. Okay, so you can see in the editor toolbar at the top here, we have, well, a lot more than we used to. We have plenty of amazing tools that you can use. Sorry, one second, getting ahead. The main thing you're going to want to do probably when you start is cut some audio out. And that's what it will be set to by default when you log in. So it's super simple to use. If you just have a listen, you see what you want to remove, and you can just click and drag. And then you can make any adjustments you want, again, just by clicking and dragging it. You can preview to see what it will sound like with your edit removed.
You need is an internet connection. It's user.
If you want to remove it, just click cancel. But when you're happy, click cut, and that's your edit made. And it will collapse because we've removed it from the audio. Okay, another new tool that we have is the mute button. And you can use this maybe if you've taken a big deep breath between words and you don't want to be that in the audio, or maybe a guest yawned, although that wouldn't be great. But if you wanted to remove that, just click mute. Same as the cut tool, drag it, make any adjustments you want, preview, and when you're happy, click mute. Another new feature that we have is the Bleep tool. So this is useful if you're trying to keep your podcast PG and you have a guest that's got a little bit spicy. You can just click on Bleep again, highlight the section you want to bleep out, make any adjustments, preview it, and then when you're happy, click Bleep. And we actually have a lot of new tools recently. Since we last did this, we only had a couple of things up there, but silence is a new tool. So if you have a guest who you think is speaking too quickly, there's not enough pause between the words, just click the silence tool. Sorry, 1 second. Place the playhead where you want it. So I want it between these two words. Click silence, and then you can adjust it by using these plus or minus buttons, or again, you can just click and drag. And when you're happy, click add silence. And then probably, I would say, Allegra, this is our most requested feature, is the clip tool. This is great. So if you have a part of your audio that you want to remove to do promo, use it on social medias, if your guest has given the quote of the episode, you're going to want to use the clip tool. So all you do again, highlight the section that you want, make any adjustments, and when you're happy, click export. Now, this will be saved to your library, so you can use it anywhere you want, download it to your device, but you can also choose to add it right to the start of your episode if you want it to be the teaser at the beginning. Click add. Yeah, you can find this clip in the library. Your episode will start with this clip as well. Do you think I missed anything there, Allegra, with those tools?
There was something that I was thinking about when you said before, and now, of course, I don't remember what it was. I think it was when you talked about the bleep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will just say for any of the edits that you're making as you go along. Oh, I know,
Yeah.
because you said when you did the first cut, it collapsed, and you said that's because we removed it from your audio. But the way Alitu edits for you is it's not destructive editing, and you don't have to know what that means, like technically. But let's say you changed your mind, right? If you click on the pencil that's on top of any of those edits, you don't have to live with it forever and ever. You can click on the pencil, you can change it. You can remove it if you decide to leave that audio in, but we collapse the audio editor, the waveform, so that what you see is a representation of what you're actually going to hear, right? So any edit that you make is not permanent. You can undo it, you can fix it again, anything that you'd like. So if you're at all nervous about making edits because you're thinking, oh, I cut that out, now I wanted it back, it's okay, you can get it back.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where you've muted. You can click that to make any changes. If you want to just remove it altogether, click restore and it'll go. Sorry, it's because I've already opened this. 1 second. Don't do what I do and have another tab open. We're here to tell you what not to do as well as what to do. But yeah, with your edit you've made, if you just click the pencil, it'll open up again and you can make any changes, cut it again, restore it. Easy, yeah. Don't worry, nothing is permanent.
Just like that. So you can't really hurt it. So I think that was great. Now, we did walk through each of those features pretty quickly. So again, if you have questions, pop them in there. I see 2 questions that actually, are you looking at our script? Because that's what I was about to talk about. Are y'all cheating? So yes, if you have any questions about what we have said already, just let us know. The other thing is, if you have made an edit and you think, oh, I didn't like that at all, you can also hit undo, right?
Yes,
so I just want you to, it's not exactly like your Word document, but it's similar to that in that this isn't surgery here, right? So if you need to undo something, you need to go back and re-edit it, you can do that. I hope that gives you a bit more confidence.
For that edit I've just made, like Allegra said, if you go up here, click undo, it'll open it, and then press it again, and it's gone. Super easy.
I loved that. The other thing was when you talked about the time on the bottom, and it will show you how much time you have left versus what you started with. That's important as well when you're editing, because maybe you always want your episode to be 30 minutes long. And like Graham said, you start with 60 minutes, where you could see how much time you have taken out, because it will tell you the length of the file before you did your edits and the length of the file right now. So I want to make sure you notice that.
And mine has actually increased because I used the add a silence tool. So it was originally 220, but I added that silence. So now it's 222.
Cool.
So you can go up or down.
All right. Are you good for me to keep going?
Yes.
So what I'm going to talk about is splitting a file, the auto zoom in the preferences. I'm going to talk about the magic filters, the background music, right? But
Yeah.
before I talk about all of that, I want to just say very quickly, we have a clip Genie, which is a super popular feature, and then we have the episode editor. And what we're covering today is the episode builder, rather. But let me tell you what the clip Genie is for, right? So you'll understand when it might be appropriate to use one versus the other, because we get that question a lot. The clip Genie is a specific tool that creates a voiceover. So if I want to create a custom intro for my podcast episode that talks about my guest or something that has happened in the world before my episode, I can take a short audio, just like a couple minutes of audio. I can add it into the clip builder, and then I add music. And then Clip Builder automatically lowers the volume of the music when it needs to, and then raises the volume of the music. So I determine in the Clip Genie, we have a separate video on that, in case you're wondering why I'm not showing that. I determine how much music there is before I start talking and how much music there is afterwards. And then Alitu's Clip Genie does the magic of raising and lowering the volume. If your music's too short, it loops it for you, but it has a very specific purpose to create a voice over. So your audio over music. That's what the Clip Genie is for. So you're creating an ad, a promo of some sort, a custom intro, whatever that might be. You could even create your intro in the Clip Genie and save it to the library, right?
Yeah.
Anything else you're doing where you're actually assembling your episode should be done in the episode builder, right? So Clip Genie, specific tool for one type of edit, and then the episode builder is everything else.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. So let me pick my screen here. So I'm in a different episode, which I've created here. Please let me know you can see my screen. So in this episode, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is splitting a file. Now, splitting a file is helpful if you want to cut your audio into different sections so that you can move them around and change the order, right? So Graham just gave you a hint before. If you export a clip into the library, we'll also say to you, hey, do you want to put that at the beginning of your episode? Because as you're editing, maybe you come up with the teaser that you want to use for that episode. So add it to your library so you can use it anywhere you like, but also we'll put it at the front of the episode for you so you don't have to split and then add that to the front. But if you're just trying to make an edit, you want to cut something, you don't split to do that. You only split if you want the audio you have to be in more than one piece so that you can insert something in between or change the order. We were working with someone last week who was using the split feature like edit. So he was like splitting it a bunch of times to try to edit something out. No, that's when you use the editor to cut it. So I'm going to go in here to this audio. And I'm going to split it. So the first thing I need to do is I need to place the playhead where I want to split the file. So I'm just going to say right here a little bit after 4 minutes. Okay. Then I click split. So it just reminds you that this is splitting your recording into two separate clips. The important thing for me to do is to name these because I can click right here and change the name. So I want this name to be Blue Sky, and then I want this to be self-care, because I had two topics in this episode for pretend. Now, you cannot undo a split. We cannot undo a split, even if you ask really nicely and offer to buy us a puppy. So we will ask you to confirm the split before you make it because we cannot undo it. Let's pretend you split it and you're like, pooh, I didn't mean to do that. You can just delete that audio out of this episode and then re-upload the audio from your library and start over. Right. So again, not completely destructive, but you cannot undo a split. So I've named the two resulting clips here, and I'm just going to go ahead and click split. So now you can see Alitu has two pieces, Blue Sky and Self-Care, and it's cleaning those up separately for me. Now I saw several questions in Blue Sky talking about show us the split function. Okay, so that is how split works. Right. So when I first started this episode, there were two clips, the blue sky
Mhm.
clip and this self-love or self-care split. I could just go ahead and drag and drop this around right now and change the order of this. So if you
Yeah.
have this audio you want to add separately and you want that to be before the entire clip or after the entire
Mhm.
clip, you can move that around. But yes, if you need
Yeah.
that in the middle, then it does have to be split.
Mhm.
Okay. Now I'm going to go in and take a look at this clip, and Graham, you can keep an eye if there's any other questions that pop up, because
Will
I'm
do.
totally ignoring that right now. So the last time we did this, which wasn't that long ago, we didn't even have any filters. Now
Yeah.
we have two. So yes, these are both in beta. So what does that mean to you? It means we have tested the pudding out of them with both internal folks and our users, but it also means that it could from time to time do something weird. And if so, please let us know,
Yeah.
because the team will take a look at it. And often they fix it in the same day that you tell us something has gone a little weird,
Mhm.
right? But we have two filters here. We have unneeded silences and we have filler words. So unneeded silences. If there are long pauses in your audio, I once interviewed someone who took these like pregnant pauses a lot, partly because she was thinking about the question I asked her, but also because that was just kind of her speech pattern. There were like dramatic pauses, for lack of a
Yeah.
better word, right? So if I wanted to remove all of those, I could just click here and turn that filter on and then click apply. And it's going to tell me you can adjust a magic filter cut by clicking the pencil, right? So I
Mhm.
click that, I understand that. So you're going to see it went through this whole audio. All those pencils are now where Alitu removed pauses for me, long
Yeah.
silences. And I know for a fact that there was a bunch in here because I kept stopping while I was recording because I had allergies and I was going to sneeze, right? So you may see more pencils, you may see less pencils. But as we said, if you want to go in and adjust any of them, all you need to do is click on the pencil. We auto zoom in to the section, and you might think to yourself, oh, well, there's a bigger pause here than Alitu took out. All I have to do is grab the handle on one end, and I can make the pause as long as I like. And then I just cut that extra second, right? If it
Yeah.
puts in a pause and I didn't want it there, I can click again on the pencil and I can remove it. But
Mhm.
this is a jump start, a head start, if you will, from Alitu to remove those long pauses.
Yeah.
Now, the second filter that you might have peeked at is filler words, where we remove ums and ahs. Now, it is grayed out here in my file. I know what you're thinking. How come, Allegra? You just said we could use filler words. Because if you hover here, it'll say none detected in this clip. I don't usually say ums and ahs because I've been doing this for a long time, but I was cracking up just this morning, like, wait, why is this turned off? So if it's ever grayed out for you, it's because it didn't detect ums and ahs. So obviously it's not going to let you apply that filter when you don't need it.
Yeah.
Makes
I
sense?
do a lot of ums and ahs, so mine can be switched on.
Usually if I think to myself, I just stop talking. So usually for me, it would be a pause instead of an or an ah, because I just don't tend to say ah a lot. But you know what I wish it did? I wish it took out the word so, because I say that a lot.
Mm.
So what happens if, or so you meant, right? I say that more. All right, so I've applied those filters. I'm just going to cancel that because I'm not going to apply the other filter because I didn't need it. Okay, so are we good on filters?
Yes.
I can at any time. Let's say I did these the silence filter here and I'm like, you know what? I don't like that. I can go up here, turn the silence filter off, click apply filters again, and it removes all of them.
Yeah, not
Okay.
permanent.
Now you'll notice this pencil's still here because that's the one I edited. So it's going to leave that one in. It's removing the ones that Alitu added automatically. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay. Now we're going to take a look at background music, which someone had mentioned earlier. Now, background music is so new, you can still smell formula on this baby's breath. We just released background music, and we are so excited because we have been working on it for a while. Now, what does background music do? Now, I know Graham earlier showed you the bleep, where you could like bleep out a spicy word someone may have said. Background music works similarly in that you're going to apply a treatment to audio that exists. So let's say in the middle of my episode for, let's say I had an ad coming up and I wanted to make it obvious to my audience that what they were about to hear was different than my main episode. I could come right here, moving the playhead, and say, okay, this section, I want to put music behind it. So once I put the playhead where I want it to be, and I'm going to click in here just to zoom in a bit because I want a finer level of detail. So I'm going to move my playhead right there. Okay. So when I am where I want to put the background music, I click background music. Now it's wondering, which music do you want to use, Allegra? And I'm going to say, let's use this. Did you have a question? Yeah. But what you'll see is down here below my main audio and above this visual representation of my entire episode is this background music. So I think to myself, okay, I wanted that to be a little bit shorter. All I do is I can grab and move this. So if I wanted my background music to start a little bit earlier, I just slide this with my mouse and then drop it where I wanted it to start. And then I can drag this to make there be less music. So I want there to be background music just over this portion. Tell me if everybody's freaking out and waving their hands in the chat box because this is so cool. Because now I get to have background music just on this section of my audio. And do you see this here where it says volume 20%? Alitu does that automatically because as a rule, when you have something come in underneath your audio, you want the volume to be about 20% so you can still hear the audio, but hear a little bit of the music as well. Let's say you want them to hear more of that. Just click on volume and I can adjust this up or down so that the volume is higher or lower on the music. And Alitu automatically fades in and fades out for me. How cool is that? I could do that everywhere. So if I had a special tone, I talked to somebody last week who asks his guests a question. And if they answer in a way he doesn't like, he makes a weird sound effect. So I could add that sound effect as my background music. And I could place that anywhere I like in this episode by just clicking here and then going to background music and then clicking that little sound effect that I want. And then I make the adjustments again. Where do I want the background music to start? And then how long do I want it to last? I can slide that. And then that whole section has background music. One of the coolest things ever. I wish they had this when I started, right? So you can use this for adding background music. You can use this for adding sound effects, if you will, right? Because the bleep is just a bleep because like there was a curse. But suppose you want a different sound effect. Suppose you want crickets, whatever that is. As long as that sound is in your library and you can upload these sounds into your library, you can then add it to your episode through the episode builder.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question about adding background music? I think it was the host who asked. Was it the host or Dan? Somebody earlier asked that question.
I think it was the host, yeah. But also, everyone said you sound fine, so it must have been my headphones. You sound great.
Okay. Well, thank you. It is an allergy day. I appreciate that affirmation because it could not have been like that at all. All right. So then the next thing I want to show you is text editing. Now I'm going to save and exit out of here because what will happen with text editing is you'll create a transcript of your audio and then you can edit using the words. So right now I'm just going to click in here onto this blue sky segment of my audio. And in order to use my text editing down here, can you see my mouse down here? It says audio transcript. All I do is slide this from off to on. And when I slide that, Alitu is going to tell me it's transcribing. So this little segment is 4 minutes long. Shouldn't take that long. It's telling me there's about a minute left. If you have a 2-hour-long episode, guess what's going to happen if you turn transcription on? It's going to transcribe the whole 2 hours, but that's going to take more than 1 minute. So we try to give you an estimate of how much time so you'll understand that we're working. But if you have a long file, just understand it takes longer to process. Mm-hmm. It's not like magical elves, right? There is tech working behind the scenes to put this together for you. So now you'll see I have words down here of what it is that I was saying in this podcast episode. If I want to edit using the text and I don't want to see the waveform at all, I can come over here and expand the transcript. See that thing that looks like it makes a full window? You know,
Yeah.
like if you watch a video, you can go full screen. So if I
Mhm.
expand transcript, then this entire section is the text for me to edit if I wanted to see just more than those 2 sentences. Now, how this works rather is, I'm not sure why I said you at the beginning of this clip, but I don't want that in there. So I'm just going to double click to select the text. And similar to when I was using the waveform, I can click preview because that's going to let me know what it sounds like once I've removed that word, or I'm just going to go ahead and cut that word out. On the waveform, we had those little arrows that showed you where edits had been made. Here, when you're using the text editor, it's this little, I don't know, is that a carrot? I'm going to have to figure out what I think this looks like, but it's this little red bracket that tells you that there's an edit there, right? So now I just removed the word you using the words. So I could say, you know what? I remember saying, I'm trying to think of something silly I may have said. I can search for words. So if I know I said a word, I can just type it there down here in the search bar, and it tells me I used that word 14 times. So then every instance where that word was used is now highlighted. So I can go in there and remove those. What I cannot do, because I know this question is forming, I cannot type Instagram here, and then the audio says Instagram instead of Twitter. In this first version of our text editor, we don't have the ability to add words in here in the way I just described. You can remove words, but you cannot change the word here and have the audio pretend that you said that instead. But it's a great way of editing very quickly. If you know you said something and you don't want to listen to your whole 2 hours to find it, you can just search for the term here. The second thing is, if I'm editing here and I think, oh, you know what? All right, so I'm going to take out Mastodon real quick. And then I'm going to say, oh, you know what? I really did want that to be in there. So I'm going to click back in here, and it's just like in the waveform. I can preview it, or I can click restore. So then the word that I removed is back. Right? Makes sense?
Yeah.
So that is how text editing works. Now, let's say I still want to see the waveform because I want to make a couple of tweaks, because there could be an instance where you remove the word here and a little artifact, like a little smidgen of the word, still exists when you listen to your episode. That is not a problem. You just shrink your transcript, because then what I'm looking at down here corresponds to what I'm looking at up here. So let me cut that out. So what I was looking at down here, when I click on it, the playhead moves to where I am in the waveform. So they're still connected to one another. It's just when I expand the transcript, I don't have to see the waveform, but they're still together, right? Now, I did talk to someone the other day who said he never listens to his whole episode before he publishes it, and that blew my mind. I would. Well, let me just say, I do. Because when you're using something that is technology, sometimes it will make a tweak that sounds different to my ear than it did like when it's looking at X's and O's. So I always listen to my episode all the way through before I hit publish. I'm just going to encourage you to do the same thing. Why do I do that? Because one time I didn't do that, and I forgot to only use 15 seconds of my music in my intro, and I played the whole 3.5-minute long intro music before I started my episode. When I published it, can you imagine how many people wanted to listen to 3.5 minutes of music before my episode? I can't, because they quit. They didn't listen to it because that was a mistake on my part, which I would easily have caught if I had listened to my episode. So you can listen to it at 2 times the speed if you want, but just give it a quick listen before you publish to make sure that what you're publishing is what you meant to publish. There's a transcription area here. Now, each Alitu account gets 12 hours of transcription included at no additional cost. So if I go here and click on transcription, it will tell me I have used 4 minutes of my transcription so far, right? Because that's what I just transcribed, 4 minutes of that episode. So it tells me I have 11 hours and 56 minutes left. If you run over the 12 hours and you think, oh, I didn't, for whatever was going on, you ran over the 12 hours and you still need to transcribe more audio before your month is up, because your month's your time rather rolls over with every fresh month, you can contact us in chat and we can add additional hours for you. It's just $1 per hour. And you can tell us, you'll say, hey, I want additional hours of transcription. Guess what we're going to say? Okay, how many hours would you like? And then we'll add those to your subscription for you. And then they'll stay on your subscription for as long as you like. So if you only want it for 1 month, after that 1 month, reach out and say, hey, I don't need those extra hours. And then we'll take them back off. Okay. But as you're going through the month, if you want to know where you are with your transcription, you don't have to reach out and ask in chat. You can just come to show settings and then go to transcription, and it will tell you right here how many hours you have available and how many you have used. Now, while we're here, I will point out that we can auto detect. So if you podcasts in a language that is not English, we also auto detect Chinese, Dutch, Finnish, French, German, etc. So when you get your transcription, it will be in these languages that we auto detect. If there's another language that we do not say we auto detect, you can still select that by clicking here. All of these are the languages that we support, and then we have a bunch more that are currently in beta while the technology is being trained. So if you need one of those languages, you can go ahead and select one of our beta languages as well. Just understand that probably won't be as accurate as the languages that we fully support. Okay. All right. Did I forget anything about text editing or transcription, Graham?
I don't think so. Oh, the only thing I was thinking is I forgot it. When you're editing before you split, you can save your edited copy to the library just in case you split in the wrong place. So I don't think we showed if you go back to the editor.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Which episode was I playing in? This one. Okay. So if I come, so I've already split this one, but you're saying if I go over here, which I had not yet split, if I had made a bunch of edits in here, oops. Yeah. Okay. See, this is fascinating. So I'm glad I did that. So here, this is background music. Do you see that little lighter gray area right here? If I zoom in, you'll see it better, right? See how that's just starting to show the background music? I'm going to, as I zoom in, you start to see more because this is the name of the background music. But when I clicked here where there's background music, it said to me that I had to remove the background music if I wanted to edit. Why did it say that? Because if background music is applied, it's applied to the audio that's underneath there. So if you want to edit that, you just remove the background music, then make your edits, and then put the background music back. Because when you add the background music, we in essence glued it. That's not the technical term, but we attached it to the audio that's there. So you can't change the audio without changing the background music as well. Makes sense?